Like, at what point do the people at Best Buy who work there just look around and say, "Hey, I'm gonna grab some stuff too"?
Yeah.
You see the guy in like the blue shirt running out with the 65-inch LCD. Like, see ya.
like, did you think we wouldn't catch you? You're wearing a bright blue shirt.
Hey, and he'll go, "Hey, it's under $1,000. You can't prosecute me."
Yeah, Mike. Well, I don't blame, like, a lot of the time. I know Best Buy has the security sitting by the door, right? But like when you see six, seven, eight people that come in, or a gang of people that are taking stuff, like, would you have the guts to stop them? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really blame them for not really doing anything.
Man, if there's like 8 people run towards the door and I'm security, I'm grabbing that 65-inch TV and I'm running out. Because it's like, I'm not going to get shot and stabbed, possibly, or beat up or something. There's a mob of people in here. I'm not doing that for like Best Buy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not risking my life for any company at that point, unless I'm like a professional, like, armed security guard or something. And even then, I don't know. Like, am I going to get shot over a TV?
Mm. Oh,
But
dear.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, on a serious note, I think like stores are all across the country, all these big box stores. You don't hear it very often, but I think they're all being affected by this kind of stuff, jumps and thefts.
Yeah, so I just stumbled upon this one. You and I were talking about doing one, and we're going to cover those topics here in a minute about like Nordstrom and Louis Vuitton and whatnot, and the effects it will have on retail as a whole. But my routine every morning, I get up, I'll check all the news because I can't trust any news source.
Yeah.
So I hit CNN, and then I go, CNBC, and I hit Bloomberg. I go everywhere, including Fox News, which that's unfortunate some days, because I got to catch the whole story. And a lot of times I don't see this stuff on CNN or CNBC or anywhere. Fox News tends to report on this stuff more. And I've seen a couple on Fox News and like Twitter where um, there's like the big thefts going on in California and then in Chicago. So, but even looking at all those news sites, I didn't realize it's happened to Best Buy too. Did you?
No, no, I didn't.
So I saw this and I'm like, man, this is probably way bigger than, because I'm not out looking for this stuff, right? Like, I don't go digging for it. If it's on the news, I see it. Then I saw the Best Buy one. That's why I fired the link off to you. I'm like, oh, this is probably a lot bigger than we know about because it's not getting reported on. And then you think about, like, in San Francisco, they've closed down 12 to 17 Walgreens.
Yeah, wow.
And I jumped in Reddit to see what's going on real quick, and people were complaining about like Target's closing early, like shortening their hours because all the theft that's going on. And you realize like this is really affecting the consumer at the end of the day. If It's one of those things that the Walgreens closed down. Like, I seen in Detroit where there was food deserts, where if you wanted like any decent groceries, you had to leave the city of Detroit. Okay.
Hmm.
And I can see like what's going to happen in these other places like San Francisco where, Walgreens moves out. And now it's like it's 2 a.m. And your kid's got a fever and you need to run out to the drugstore to get like some, child's Motrin or something, except it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And, the closest one's going to be 15 miles away. And that's the effect it's going to have. That sucks. And then people aren't going to want to live there. Like, we've never seen the critical mass really move to downtown Detroit. People were going down and drinking, partying, sports, and they go home. But you still didn't see that critical mass move back downtown where there was like shopping and food and like everything, right?
Right.
People want all that now. But if you start taking that away, what's the effect on like the community? So I don't know. Well, we talked about, does this end up resulting in showrooming where they're not even going to have these big department stores anymore? You're going to come in, there's going to be no inventory. Everything's going to be behind like those super thick glass cases. And if you want something, it's going to come from this like secure warehouse in the back. How do you let this keep going on and try to stay in business?
I'm just picturing, like a luxury watch store, and it has those little glass cubes or the glass display cases, and you've got like packets of crisps. Nothing can get stolen.
Yeah, that or you're gonna like everything's gonna. There's like a line in Wall Street too, like the private client foyer, where you're basically gonna have to make an appointment to go to these little rooms to see things. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to go through that much trouble to buy like a Louis Vuitton wallet in the future, because you can't keep taking these kind of losses. I can't imagine at some point the insurance company is like, yeah, we're not going to do this no more.
Right. And there's two sides to that equation too, right? Because there's the consumer side. Yeah, you probably there's the consumer side, so you want to be safe when you're shopping. There's the business that wants to make sure that it can sell you the product that it needs to sell you to make their money. But then there's also the employee, right? That you got to make sure that they feel safe doing the work too. So it's probably more complicated than people are talking about.
So I mean, I think this article talked about the employees don't feel safe, right? It's right in the headline, traumatizing staff. But then also as a consumer, what happens there? Like I knew somebody in Chicago that after the riots happened last year, they sold their apartment and left. And they're like, they used to go, jogging around Michigan Avenue up and down the Riverwalk. And it's like, I don't, where were they at? Streeterville. And they're like, I really don't feel safe out by myself anymore. And the big cities have seen a little uptick in crime. Some say a little, some say a lot, whatever you want to call it. But you realize as soon as you remove safety, people put that above all else.
Right.
And it's like, I don't think there was like a mass exodus out of the cities, but there were people. It's like, F this, I don't need this. So if people are willing to move because they don't feel safe anymore, do you think they're going to want to walk back into that Nordstrom or that Louis Vuitton if you keep seeing these like traumatizing videos on TV?
No, it's an easy substitute.
So it's like, now I don't want to go to the luxury store.
Yeah.
I'm too worried about this. And then I don't want to work there either. I mean, who wants to get hurt working anywhere?
Right.
It's like, so like multiple levels. Consumers not going to want to go. The business is going to have to change their model. They might not get insurance anymore because at some point they can't let this keep going on. Then it's just a straight up loss, right?
Yeah.
And then you got no workers because they don't feel safe. So it's like, I think if we don't get a grip on this, we are going to see retail change fundamentally. I don't want to like go book an appointment to go buy a watch.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild. But you're right though. Like, I don't think we, as society, should underestimate like how far businesses will go to make sure that they can still deliver the service. Like, if a showroom is what's required, they'll do it. I think so.
In some weird way, it's just this is going to push more stuff online. And I guess that's good and bad at the end of the day. But I think people still like to shop. But you're not going to shop if you're worrying about crime.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I see, Best Buy. Like like you see, I don't just saw those videos on Twitter. Like they're crazy. Like 80 people roll up. It's like, they did the flash mobs and people are like dancing in Times Square and shit.
Yeah.
It's like that, but they got hammers and shit, and they're going in and busting out glass cases, and it was literally a flash mob of thieves. Like,
that's wild.
I mean, they got like a Slack channel somewhere out there that's like, hey, looking for about 80 people to go do a dance up at Nordstrom. Like,
it's all coded.
And then like boom, 25 cars show up, and I don't know, man. I guess this is what happens when you start saying like you can't prosecute no one up if it's $1,000, we don't care. And I think this is what happens when like you start to loosen the reins on society a little bit. Like, I think we forget that we're this is it, right? If you
Yeah.
removed all the laws and we had no police, and it was people just trying to, like, survive by their own moral code or lack of, this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
It would be survival of the fittest at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't know. Do people like where this is going?
Yeah, I hope not. Like maybe the handful of people that are making money doing this, but I hope not. Because you're right, society. I mean, the fabric of society is we all have to agree to certain rules and norms for it to function. It only takes a few, quote unquote, bad eggs to really start to untangle everything. Because like the people will see this, they're not getting prosecuted, then everybody will, not everybody, but a lot of people will do it because there's no consequences, and then where do we go?
Yeah, you're seeing more and more of it happen now. And,
Yeah.
but now it's like, is this the peak of it? Like, this time came when we dumped $6 trillion in the economy. There's
Right.
there's a lot of money out there, but we watch crime accelerate during a time when society probably had the most liquid cash floating around that it ever had. But it's like it's back to the lawlessness of, if there's no consequence or even a threat of consequence, you see what people will do. I think you see that in everyday life. When someone takes advantage of you a little bit and they get away with it, they'll do it again. And then they'll do it again. And I don't think that's any different when it comes to crime. They will push it as far, and I grew up in an area with a bunch of crime. People will push it as far as they can. This is where we're at right now. But now you see, like, well, wait a minute. You said it. I think, Kane, you said this is now affecting their bottom line.
Right.
Like, this shit's going to show up on the P&L report. That's how bad it is. And it's like, well, they're probably not even going to get insurance, right? So this whole thought of, oh, the insurance companies will pay for it, which I always thought was stupid, Kane. Because do they think like the insurance companies are like the Federal Reserve and they can just print money? Someone still has to pay for the insurance.
Yeah.
Which means what happens is insurance goes up for everybody. And when the insurance goes up, then your products just go up.
Yeah.
There is no free. There is no backstop that is catching all the problems financially. It's easy to hate on insurance until you realize somebody pays for it somewhere.
Yeah. We talked about this when we talked about Walgreens. I remember when they were closing it. Companies at this scale at least allocate for shrinkage. So Walgreens to close stores, I think, speaks to how significant the scale is of this stuff. And then if Best Buy CEO is talking about losses above shrinkage on an earnings call, I think you're talking about significant scale of this stuff. I think more than probably even this story talks about, like I think it's probably more widespread than anybody really knows.
I don't know. Again, like, I don't go looking for it, and I don't think it's getting reported that much. Because people don't want to report about it for some reason. I saw an article somewhere, as this morning on one of the news sites, that was saying that, it might have been a tweet somewhere. I don't know what I saw, but they were saying don't call the people looters because it doesn't fit the definition of it. And I'm like, I guess I really don't care what you call it at the end of the day. If you're like mass stealing from somebody, it's not a good thing. But it's like we're at a point where we're gonna sit around and argue about whether we call them thieves or looters or this or that, and like, it doesn't matter if you're this is kind of where we're at, man. But this is why it's not in the news. This is why it's like probably the first time I'm realizing, okay, how is it that it's that bad to the point where it's on an earnings call? This is the first time you and I have seen it in the news.
Yeah. It's wild.
But what I will get is 50 million articles served to me about the metaverse.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, but can we find out what's going on in society? Like, I don't really care about what virtual. Do I want to live inside Mark Zuckerberg's virtual world? No, like, no, man. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
that's probably the last place I want to be. Like,
talk about showrooms. That's one giant showroom.
yeah, like, that's not a showroom I want to be in, man. Like, it's the kind of showroom that you would want to go into, and then you feel like you need to shower when you leave. Like, you walk out like, I need to wash my hands. I need to wash my hands right now. Like, I don't want to be in that world. But that's, I get served that instead of, what the hell's going on the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'll just buy some more stuff online, or I'm just gonna I'll call up the Rolex dealer and say, hey, can you open a half an hour early and show me all the watches you don't have in stock?
The three that you have left.
I mean, we just did that episode, like the Rolex dealer, like you can't buy a Rolex, and it's like you don't see the news talking about the Rolex store getting robbed because they ain't got no watches to rob. Rolex is probably like, whoa, we dodged a bullet right now. Like, can't steal what's not there.
So true.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna dig in. I'm curious. I'm gonna do a little more research, and you think about stock plays now. Like, if you think this could affect, post holiday season after this big bump goes and stimulus dies down, and if this stuff is hurting books, maybe the retail stocks take a hit. Man, it must be nice to be Amazon right now, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Like, no need just. I'm sure they got their own shrink issues, but no showrooms.
No,
man,
showroom.
Could you imagine, like, if a riot broke out at an Amazon warehouse?
Ooh, that's it's probably happening. We just don't see it.
No, like, imagine, like, 10,000 people storm a 1 million square foot Amazon warehouse. Like,
that'd be like, my goodness.
Backing in U-Haul trucks and shit, like, just.
Wow.
That'd
make for a good movie.
That would be a cool movie idea, like this like massive group of people storms an Amazon warehouse, and like I mean, like, that's Die Hard, right? They did Die Hard where they had a whole movie filmed at one building. Like, why couldn't you do that in 1 million square foot Amazon warehouse?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People will like burn barrels, or it's like a city, right? Like, there's a little burn barrel over here, and like people are stealing stuff, and I'm gonna write a script. I'm gonna go write a script.
Gotta make sure the robots are good at stopping, or at least trying to stop them, better than the Best Buy security, perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll steal an Amazon robot. Like, that would be cool as shit. I'd have it outside weed whacking, like raking, like shoveling snow. Like, I need one of those Amazon robots. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone's out there, they'll be stealing, like, TVs and iPhones and shit, and I'll be trying to jack the Amazon robot. I put that thing to work, I like, hey man, throw me $100, I'll have this thing straighten your yard up. I'd have the Amazon robot over my neighbor's house doing work. Like, screw the 65-inch Samsung. I guess that's what they're thinking. All right, man, I'm gonna go stay away from Best Buy.
Sounds good.
I got you.